Hello, amazing parents and caretakers, and welcome to the Pumped Up Parenting Podcast. I'm your family empowerment coach, Celia Kibler. I'm a mom of a blended family of 5 kids. I'm a grandma of 9 kids, an author, a teacher, a speaker, and a consultant with over 40 years of training and real-life parenting experience. I'm here to offer you practical, doable tips, strategies, and techniques that will pump up your parenting skills and create peace, love, and laughter throughout your family. In addition, I'll be interviewing some great humans that are on a mission to make your life a better, happier, and healthier life. So let's not waste any time and get started with the next episode of the Pumped Up Parenting Podcast. Thanks for listening. Cherie King is a passionate and down-to-earth speaker who empowers parents, carers, and educators with transformative insights into child development, emotional well-being, and the power of connection. With over 30 years of experience as an educator, a school leader, and a behavior specialist, Cherie has dedicated her career to supporting families and schools in fostering emotionally resilient, confident children. As the CEO and founder of Connect, Play, Thrive, love those 3 words, she combines her deep expertise in trauma-informed practices, co-regulation, ADHD, autism, and literacy with her unwavering belief that connection is the foundation of well-being. She helps adults understand how the body informs the brain and how we are hardwired with a need for belonging, and how that directly impacts mental health, emotional regulation, resilience, and your relationships. Cherie's engaging, relatable style allows her to instantly connect with her audience, leaving them inspired and equipped with practical strategies to navigate the ever-changing adventure of parenting and working with children. As a proud mom of 2 incredible adult children, a new grandma, congratulations. I love my grandbabies. She brings both professional expertise and personal wisdom to her work, offering a fresh, empowering perspective on raising happy, resilient kids. She is going to dive deep in this session and explore the deep connection between a caregiver's emotional well-being and a child's resilience, underpinned by practical science-backed strategies to manage stress, regulate emotions, and create a calmer, more connected home, all while fostering confidence and security in our children. Coming to us from the great country of Australia, welcome, Cherie King. We're going to talk about calm adults and resilient kids. Run the little video first, please. And still no sound. Something with Zoom, guys. It's a Zoom issue. Welcome, Cherie,
Thank you, Celia.
to
You.
the International Day of Calm Summit.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Fantastic.
And she's in green. See, we've all learned through Dr. Matthew that green is the color of calm. And now that I look at this, I totally thought this morning this was green, but I think it's like taupe.
It looks lovely anyway. But absolutely.
But oh well, I aimed for green.
Yeah, I listened to Dr. Matthew yesterday and I'm like, I've got some green. I'm bringing that out.
So see that? Why I need to, yeah, he's up there cheering.
Yeah, I see him there too.
See, we learn well. We learn well from you.
And I didn't realize how much green I had in my my wardrobe. So I had a couple of choices this morning because it's early this morning, like in Australia. So yeah.
And you have plants behind you. Is
I
that
do.
a fake drop well,
Yeah,
it's a good.
yeah.
It's got
But
plants.
I do have, I would say I'm about sitting at about the 15 to 20% outside my window, but it is still dark here. So
Oh, it's
um,
still dark. What time is
yeah,
it in Australia?
just after 5 a.m.
Oh, you party animal. I was up at 12:30 in the morning doing a presentation to the college in India, which I
Yeah,
do every year for Day of Calm. So
yeah.
I had to get some more
Well,
coffee because I
yeah.
kind of tired.
Did you get a nap in before you started again, or have you been up?
No, well, I slept a little bit before and a little bit after, so I'm
Okay.
good. And now I have more coffee thanks to my
Yeah.
husband. So yay for
Uh,
coffee. We love coffee.
yes, yes. I've just finished my coffee in my green cup.
Oh, green
Oh,
cup. Wait, I have green on here. Do I have green? Look, there's green. Look at
yeah.
us.
Look at
We're
us.
never wearing any other color, Matthew. It's
That's it.
green.
Oh, I
Never. It's green
love
to
it.
go.
Yeah,
Okay, so Cherie, you ready to get started? Do you have slides to share?
I do. Let me just make sure that I am.
And in the stream, the chat stream, guys, there is a link for you to donate that Anupam put in.
Can
All
you see?
right, so let's get going. I
Can you
give
see my?
you Cherie King.
Thank you, Celia. I'm hoping that you can see my screen.
We
Uh,
can.
the slides. Yeah, you're not seeing presenter mode, just a slide.
We're not what?
Not seeing presenter mode, just a slide.
We see you and the slide. So it's
Okay.
not presenter mode.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, look, let me get started. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here at the Day at Calm Summit 2025. It's such an honor to be part of this incredible event surrounded by people who truly value the power of calm, not just a personal practice, but as a way of transforming our families, our communities, and ultimately the world, which obviously sits beautifully alongside your work, Celia, which I also want to acknowledge the Day of Calm Foundation for the vital work that you're doing and leading there. Your permission, oh, sorry, your mission to promote mental well-being, emotional resilience, and mindfulness is so deeply aligned with the heart of my work. So when we were chatting, I was like, oh my gosh, I think we talked about being sisters in some other lifetime, or we're connected some way.
Absolutely.
So your commitment to making calm a collective movement, not just as an individual goal, is both inspiring and so deeply needed at this point in time. So, and I work, as you said in my bio there, I work with parents and educators to help them understand the powerful connection between their emotional state and the mental emotional well-being of the children in their care. So my focus is on the prevention, on giving adults the tools to create an emotional safety and connection for kids before those challenges or those mental health challenges take root. So, and that's where I think our missions intersect so beautifully, because when we, and I'm talking about we as the grown-ups, learn to stay grounded and calm, we create the emotional foundation that allow children to grow up feeling secure and confident and truly connected to those significant people who are in their lives. So I'm pretty excited to share how something as simple and yet so profound as staying calm, excuse me, can reshape our experiences as parents and carers and educators. So this isn't just about managing stress, it's about building a strong foundation for lifelong emotional resilience for us and our kids, which underpins all of your work as well, Celia. So hence today's name of today's presentation around calm adults, resilient kids, and how our calm can shape their future. We absolutely cannot underestimate, and when I say our the meaning us as adults, the influence we have on establishing our kids' emotional blueprint that they will carry with them throughout their entire lives. It's just such an important period of time, especially when our little ones are in those, the first 3 to 5 years. Things that we say and do really start to develop their architecture of their brain. So it's incredibly important that we are aware of that. So if we're ready, I think I'll just start dive in, because I truly believe that when we embrace our calm, we're not just improving a moment, as Chris alluded to. The moment in time can be challenging, but if we embrace our calm, we're giving our kids one of the greatest gifts that they'll ever receive throughout their life. So let's just jump in and have a little look. So as we move through today's session, I really want to just gently invite audience members and people who are on the screen with us today just to show a little bit of self-compassion, because as we reflect on some of our own parenting moments or some of the examples I share that might begin to resonate with the audience, I want people not to try and slip into judgment. This is a safe space. It's not a judgment space at all, because we've all had those moments where we wish we'd responded differently to a particular moment in time, excuse me. Because let's be honest, parenting is tough. There's no such thing as perfect parenting. We're all doing the best we can with the tools and the awareness that we have in any given moment. So with that in mind, I have a feeling, and I'm probably not the only on my own when I say I'm sure we've had those days when it just feels like it's just too much. You know, the kind after a long, exhausting day at work, you're trying to juggle life's responsibilities and the never-ending mental load that we're all faced with in what can only be described as a fast-changing world. So, and I still feel this with adult children. I feel stretched thin, and before we know it, we're a little bit snappy. You know, patience is becoming a bit short, and maybe we're raising our voice and we're raising our fist at the driver who's just cut us off in the lane, on our way home. And children are in the back, and then right in the middle of you thinking you're holding it together, your child starts to have a meltdown. Suddenly they're more reactive, they're more demanding and more emotional, and it can sort of feel like they can sense it, right? So their emotions feel like they're mirroring yours, and the actual fact is that's because they are, because emotions are contagious. So just like a yawn can spread across a room, I'm sure we've all seen that, so can our emotional energy. We've all felt it when someone walks into a space and their energy shifts the whole mood. I'm sure people have experienced that. If they're anxious or agitated, the room can tense up. But if they walk in calm and grounded and present, it often brings a sense of ease for them and those around them. And I reflect on this, and I still have this vivid memory of when I was probably around 7 or 8. I walked into the room and walked into the kitchen. My parents were there, and I had sensed, whilst they weren't arguing, I had sensed that there was a change in that environment just through the energy in the room. And it's something that had stayed with me for a very long time. And of course, I'm reflecting on it now. I actually picked up a change in energy in my parents. Whilst it wasn't a major argument or anything, I did actually feel a change in the energy in the room. So I was, really, and I think that's probably what makes me even more aware of how we present ourselves and the energy that we bring to a particular space. And I'm sure that's not an isolated case, and that it plays out in a lot of homes every single day, where our children don't just hear our words, they actually feel our state. So when we're anxious or overwhelmed, their nervous system is picking up on it. When we're calm and centered, they're much more likely to feel safe, settled, and connected. So it's not that our kids choose to react or misbehave, it's that their nervous systems are wired to tune into ours. So I sort of think of it like a tuning fork. Our emotional frequency impacts theirs, often without a single word being spoken. Just as I, alluded to about my parents in the kitchen, I knew that something wasn't quite right. There was a different energy, so I was really tuned into my parents. Now, I invite you to think back to a moment, perhaps when you managed to stay calm in the middle of a chaotic situation. Maybe it was during a school morning meltdown, or a sibling squabble, or a drawn out bedtime routine. You might have felt, within yourself that storm was starting to rise. You could feel it in your own body, but somehow you managed to remain steady. And I just want you to think about, or reflect on a time that you did that and how your child may have responded. And I'm guessing chances are, even if they were distressed at first, your calm eventually helped them to settle, because that's the power of regulation. That's the power of you, really, as the adult in the room. Excuse me. So I guess, what if I told you that the most powerful parenting tool isn't a clever phrase, as much as I love your clever phrases, Celia, and many of which I've written down, or a perfect strategy. It's simply how we show up emotionally for our kids. So what if staying calm is the secret ingredient to helping, our children build emotional resilience one moment at a time? It's actually a really powerful idea, and one that I'd like to take a closer look at why this happens and what we can do to harness that calm in our everyday parenting.
Cherie, can I interrupt you for a minute? And are you able to get closer to your microphone?
Are you not hearing me well?
Well, we can hear you, but it's very soft.
Oh, is it? Okay. How's that? Is that a little better?
Yeah, that's better leaning forward.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you for letting me know. So now that we've noticed how our kids seem to feed off our emotions, um, I just want to take a moment to explore why that happens and why our calm can be such a powerful force in shaping their resilience. Dr. Dan Siegel, I'm a bit of a neuroscience geek, and I love Dr. Dan Siegel. Some of you might be familiar with him. He's a leading expert in child development and interpersonal neurobiology. He often talks about children's brains are wired to mirror the emotional states of the adults around them. So, in other words, our kids don't just watch us, they feel us, and not feel us, but feel us. When we're stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, they don't just notice it on the surface, their nervous system actually picks up on it. So they're constantly scanning and taking cues from us and how we speak, how we move, and the energy we bring into a room, and their bodies, and how their bodies and brains respond accordingly. So this process is called neuroception, the brain's way of detecting safety or danger, often before we're even consciously aware of it ourselves. So even if we're not saying we're stressed, like articulating that we're stressed, our children are incredibly tuned in. They can hear it in our tone, see it in our posture, and feel it in our presence. And when they pick up on tension or frustration, their brain interprets it as a potential threat, like it's triggering their own stress response. So again, if we think about some of those typical mornings, or those typical events that we experience throughout our day, everyone, for example, the morning routine, everyone rushing around. I'm sure you've all felt it, or been involved in a morning where you're saying things like, "Come on, we're going to be late," and your tone might sharpen a little bit. And even if it's not a huge deal to you, your child's body may react as if it is. Like their heart rate starts to rise, stress hormones kick in, and suddenly they're melting down or refusing to cooperate, not because they're being difficult, but because their nervous system has been activated. So they're potentially shifted into that fight, flight, or freeze mode. So now here's the part that's both powerful and hopeful. Just as our stress is contagious, so is our calm. So when we manage our own emotions, when we stay grounded and regulated, we send signals of safety. And when a child feels safe, their brain moves out of that survival mode and into a state where real growth can happen. And this is where they begin to build the emotional intelligence, problem solving skills, and the ability to self regulate. And in essence, that's the foundation of what true resilience is. So this is also what can be called the secure base effect. So when a child has an emotionally steady adult to rely on, they feel safe enough to explore, to take risks, and to face challenges with more confidence. So our calm isn't just about comforting in the moment; it's literally shaping their ability to handle stress for the rest of their lives. So if we want to raise emotionally resilient kids, or children who can navigate life's ups and downs in healthy ways, the first step isn't about trying to change their behavior. It actually starts with us, the adults. It's learning to regulate our own emotional state. And that's what I'd really like to dive into next. So let's take a closer look at how our emotional energy can influence not just our children, but the overall tone and connection in the whole family. You hearing me okay now, Celia?
Yeah, it's still a little bit soft, but we hear you better. So,
Thank Yeah, apologies for that. So now that we understand, a little bit why our calm matters, and we've heard that over the last, 2 days around the importance of calm, let's talk a little bit about how it actually plays out in everyday life. So when we bring calm into a moment, especially those really tough and messy ones, it doesn't just settle our child or our children right then and there. It actually creates a ripple effect that can shape their emotional development, build their resilience, and even influence the overall energy in a home, as I said a little earlier. So think of it like, dropping a pebble into a still pond. The ripples don't stay in one place. They spread out and touch everything around them. Our emotions work exactly the same way. So when we're feeling stressed, anxious, or reactive, that energy spreads through the house. Again, I'll go back to that point where as a child, I felt an energy shift in my home. So our kids actually feel it, and often they respond by, it could be by acting out or whining, pushing, limits, or melting down. But what they're trying to do is show us that that there's something happening for them, and they're showing us through their behavior. So then what happens is often as adults, we get a little bit more frustrated. Our kids are dysregulated, and then we just get in this cycle. It keeps going. So we're, we're in that space. But when we show up calm and steady, everything shifts. So our children feel that sense of safety. They begin to regulate more easily, and the whole environment becomes to be more peaceful, or feel a little bit more peaceful. Now, it doesn't mean that things have to be perfect, but it does mean everyone is better equipped to handle what comes their way. And this, again, is the foundation of resilience. Because, here's the truth around resilience. It doesn't mean never feeling stress. It means knowing how to move through it. And kids don't learn that in isolation. They develop those skills through connection, through consistent, nurturing relationships with calm, emotionally available adults who help them co-regulate. So co-regulation really is just a fancy term for how we, as the adults, help our kids manage their big feelings and behaviors by staying calm and connected with ourselves. It's not about fixing their emotions or stopping a meltdown instantly. It's about being with them in the hard moments, offering steady presence, a calm voice, a warm hug, or just sitting close by, showing them through our body and our energy, you're not alone. I've got you, and we'll all get through this together. So that's why our emotional steadiness is such a big deal. When we manage our own stress, we're actually helping our children to build the neural wiring in their brains they need to deal with big feelings, tough moments, and future challenges. We're literally helping them move from reactivity to resilience. So when we focus on staying calm, we're not just making life a bit smoother in the moment, we're giving our kids that powerful lifelong gift that I talked about way back on slide 1, a gift that helps them feel safe in their bodies, confident in who they are, and better equipped to navigate the ups and downs of life. In fact, we're helping shape their emotional blueprint, how they see themselves in the world, how they relate to others, and how they'll show up in future relationships, in adult relationships. It's pretty powerful stuff. So we might be sort of thinking too, and I've done this in my parenting journey as well. Okay, I get it, but staying calm is hard. It's really hard. And, we're absolutely right in that. So what happens when we do get stuck in that stress cycle? And more importantly, how do we break free? How do we short circuit that stress cycle? So let's take a closer look at that next. So we know our calm matters. We've talked about it, we've heard about it, and absolutely it does matter. But let's be real, staying calm, not always easy. In fact, sometimes it feels like it's downright impossible. But we all find ourselves caught in what I call the stress cycle. We've all experienced at some point. That's the pattern where our stress triggers our child's stress and their reaction just ramps up, and ours then ramps up even more. It becomes this loop that is hard to sometimes escape. So, how might it play out? Oh, you might already be feeling stretched. Maybe work's been intense, or the morning has been one thing after another. And then your child again has a meltdown, refuses to cooperate, or starts pushing your buttons. Um, you may snap, maybe your tone sharpens, maybe you raise your voice. And then what happens next? As we said, their stress response flares up too. They escalate, push back, or they may even completely shut down. It doesn't always look like an external um, uh, behavior. It could be an internal as well. So instead of solving the problem, where you tend to be locked in this combative cycle of emotional reactivity, and it can be quite exhausting. So the key really here about breaking the cycle doesn't start with controlling their behavior. It starts with us regulating ours. So when we pause, take a breath, and choose to respond rather than react, we're actually sending a powerful message to our children's nervous system. You're safe. I've got this. And when a child feels safe, their brain begins to calm. Excuse me. They shift out of the fight and flight and into that connection mode. So that's where the real communication and emotional growth can happen. So how do we do it in the heat of the moment? The million-dollar question. Well, it starts with awareness, recognizing when we're stuck in the stress loop. That's the first step. So when we can lean on simple tools and strategies to help regulate our own nervous system and ground ourselves before responding. And here's the most beautiful part of all. When our kids see us do this, they also learn how to do it. So over time, they develop their own capacity to manage big feelings because they've watched us model it again and again. So it's that don't do as I do, or what were you saying earlier, Celia? Do as I do, don't do as I say, or
Do as I say, not as I do. And
do.
it's actually the opposite.
Yeah, that the modeling is so powerful. Our kids watch our every move; they learn from us. So that modeling piece is incredibly important. So breaking that stress cycle isn't about always being calm all the time because it's not realistic. It's about noticing when we're caught in the spiral and making small intentional shifts that can lead to more calm, more connection, and a more peaceful home. So the good news is you don't have to, to do this, you don't need a full day of mindfulness or a perfect parenting moment to interrupt the stress cycle. You just need a simple starting point, and that's where the 3R framework comes in. So let's build on that a little. So we've explored what the stress cycle looks like. And now I'd like to just sort of actually touch on, what we can do in those messy real life moments when calm feels completely out of reach. So because we get those curveballs each day, we're not sure what's going to come our way, but life certainly serves up some curveballs. So it could be in the form of, as Chris was talking about earlier, it could be in the form of tantrums in the supermarket, bedtime battles, chaotic school mornings. There are the moments when we don't need the theory. They're the moments when we need something practical, simple, and doable in the moment. So that's where I wanted to introduce you to a powerful but gentle tool I call the 3R framework. And it's around recognizing, regulating, and reconnecting. And I think of this as like a parenting compass, a simple, repeatable roadmap to help people shift from reactivity to connection, no matter what the day might throw at you. So first up there is recognize. And this step is all about the self-awareness that I alluded to a little earlier. It's catching yourself in the early signs of stress before it starts to take over. You might sense that your jaw's tightening or your tone is getting sharper with your child, or there's that inner voice whispering, I am about to lose it here. So the power in this step is that it creates space. It creates a pause, and in that pause lies the power. So when you can name what's going on inside you, you take that first step towards changing what happens next. You get to choose. Do I react or do I respond? So it's a pretty powerful part of the framework. The second part is around regulation. So recognizing stress is the first step. Now we need to do something with that awareness. And that means helping your nervous system settle so you can respond with intention, not impulse. The simplest and most underrated, in my opinion, is to regulate, and that way is to use. Sorry, the most simplest way is to regulate is to use your breath. Yeah, your breath is a powerful tool that is always with you. So what I wanted to do is if I just take a moment or two just to go through what a mindful or intentional use of breath can really feel like. And some people obviously know about it, but haven't actually experienced it before. So I just wanted to model again, there's a modeling piece around how a simple but effective guided breathing exercise can help us regulate. And it can be done anywhere or at any time. And you can do it quite privately as well. It doesn't have to be this full scale um, activity, but you can do it in a gentle, quiet way. And I just wanted to take a moment so that I could model it for anyone that might be listening today or watching the replay, just so they can get a sense of what it feels like. So I invite you, and you certainly don't have to by any means. If you're feeling uncomfortable with it, absolutely fine, but invite you just to place your hand on your heart or your belly, and we're going to inhale through our nose for 4, hold for 2, and exhale softly through our mouth for 6. So we'll just give that a go. So inhale for 4, 3, 4, hold for 2, 2, 1, and exhale softly for 6, 5, 6. And then we'll do it once more. So inhale for 4, hold for 2, and exhale for 6. Now, doing that cycle a couple of times is obviously preferred, but even just doing it for this very short period of time, because I'm aware of time. I don't know about you, when I came out of that, I just felt a little more centered. My body relaxed. I could feel my shoulders drop. So it's really quite effective, and it just allows us to reconnect with our body, how we're feeling, and giving our body to a chance to reset and come back to the present as well. So I hope that was a little bit that was helpful. And then it's that process of again being centered, sending the message to our brain, I'm okay, I'm safe. And when you actually believe it, your child will sense that as well. So again, that's that energy and that vibration that we know is around us, and our kids are tuning into us. And there's some other quick tools too. I mean, breathing is one tool, again, one that I think is the most powerful, but you can use other tools or strategies like grounding your feet into the floor, running cool water over your hands, or silently repeating a calming phrase like, I've got this, I've got this. These small intentional acts actually help you stay connected to yourself and to your calm. And finally, the reconnect step. This is where the magic really happens. It's the reminder that you don't have to have to get it right every time. What matters most is how you repair and come back after that disconnection. So maybe that might look like saying, I'm sorry, I was feeling really overwhelmed. Or maybe it's just a gentle cuddle or sitting close to a child, or a quiet presence that says, we're okay, I'm still here. Reconnection builds that safety, it builds trust. It teaches our kids that relationships can hold those hard moments, and that love doesn't disappear when things get tough. So let me just walk you through a few quick everyday examples of what that might look like. We've talked about supermarket meltdowns. You can, and that judgment piece where everyone's around and you can start to feel that your energy is changing, your chest is feeling tight, and you're getting anxious. If you just take 1 or 2 grounding breaths, soften your shoulders, come back to present, it really does center you, and then you can reconnect by saying to your child, that was hard, or it is hard, but we'll get through it together. So you're just providing that sense of safety, and that safe base for your child. And the old bedtime battle, I'm sure many of us who are on screen who have children have been through the bedtime battle, where you're feeling exhausted after a long day and you're rushing and you're starting to snap because you want to be able to rest. You want your child to rest. So it becomes that that stress cycle again. So slowing down the voice, maybe dimming the lights is another strategy you can use, and then resetting, connecting to yourself, and then obviously saying to your child, reconnecting with your child. I'm here, let's start it over. And maybe you start with a song or a cuddle or a book or something just to bring it back to the present and start the process again. And it could be that, or it could be, for example, the morning chaos. And I have vivid memories of the morning chaos when I went back to work. I've got two children going back to work full time, and I had to be out of the house by 7 a.m. It was one of the, those periods of the time in the morning where I was stress was always there. So recognizing that in myself, that I'd already, my patience was already gone and it was only 8 a.m. in the morning. So I really just used to take time for myself. I would step out of the room, or making sure my children are safe, but step out 10, 15 seconds, take a breath, come back into the room, and then reconnect with myself and my children by saying, okay, let's take this. Let's start again, one step at a time. We've got this together. Let's get into it together. So there's just a couple of examples. So again, the 3R framework isn't about being perfectly calm or getting it right every time. It's about being present. It's about it's about noticing, pausing, breathing, and coming back together again and again. And these small intentional shifts, they're not just about changing the tone of your day. They're actually about strengthening your child's safety, deepening your connection, and helping them build the skills they need to handle life with more confidence and resilience. And the best thing about it too is that you'll feel better also. And the other great part about this is the more you practice, the more natural it becomes, not just for you, but for your child also. So we've explored how we can ground ourselves and shift the emotional climate in the moment using the 3R frameworks. But now let's zoom out a little and look at the bigger picture, because staying calm isn't just about getting through meltdowns or surviving school morning chaos. It's actually about playing the long game, creating habits and ways of being that help our children grow into emotionally healthy, resilient humans. So let's talk a little bit about our calm, how our calm becomes the foundation of building true resilience in our children. So what is resilience? We've all heard the word, we hear it all the time, but when it comes to children, what does it actually mean? At its core, so resilience is the ability to face challenges, bounce back from stress, and adapt in the face of adversity, beg your pardon. But it's not about being tough or pushing through without feeling. True resilience comes from having an inner sense of safety and capability, knowing deep down, I can handle the hard things, and I don't have to do it alone. And that deep knowing, it starts with us, the adults. So resilience grows in connection. Children don't develop resilience on their own, as we've talked about. They build it through connection, through safe, steady relationships with emotionally available adults. So when we show up with our calm, yes, even when we do it imperfectly, we send our kids a powerful message. You're safe, even when things feel hard. That sense of emotional safety keeps their brains open and flexible. Instead of going into survival mode, they stay in that space where they can think, learn, and grow. And when kids feel safe, they're more likely to try again after a mistake or share how they're feeling. They're more likely to ask for help when they need it. They're problem solving, or solve problems instead of shutting down or lashing out. So that's resilience. And it doesn't come from big dramatic moments. It's built in the small everyday ones. Every time we pause instead of snap, every time we take a breath instead of reacting, every time we reconnect after a rupture, our calm becomes their roadmap. When we model staying grounded during tough times, our kids are watching and learning. They begin to internalize the same tools and responses. They learn how to pause and check in with themselves. They self-soothe in healthy ways. They express their emotions without fear and trust that connection isn't lost after conflict. It's pretty powerful stuff, because it means they're not just reacting to life, they're learning how to navigate with confidence and care. So what can we do to further support their resilience? There's a few simple, consistent habits that can make a really big difference over time, such as making space for big feelings. So we don't want to be rushing in and to fix things or to quieten them down. We can use validating language like, that was really tough for you. Or we could say, let them see us face our own challenges with self-compassion. And we can support independence with encouragement, not pressure. We can also celebrate effort, not just the outcome. So important to celebrate the effort. But above all, it's really important that it's that we remember it's not about getting it right every time. It's about returning to connection, because repair is a core part of resilience too. So when we talk about raising resilient kids, we're talking about showing up again and again with calm, compassion, and connection, especially when life gets messy. So we've covered a lot today. So let's take a little moment to bring it all together and just breathe it in. So we started today by exploring how our children respond to us, not just to what we say, but how we feel. We saw the emotions are contagious. When we're stressed, our kids feel it and often they mirror it. But the good news is our calm is just as contagious. So when we stay grounded, we send a message to our kids that you're safe, I've got you, and that felt sense of safety helps them settle and feel secure. We also looked at how our calm does more than just help in the moment. It's literally shaping their brains. Every calm, connected response lays the foundation for long-term emotional health. So we're not just helping them behave in the moment, we're helping them grow into emotionally resilient adults who can handle life's ups and downs with confidence. Then we walk through the 3R framework: recognize, regulate, reconnect. Three simple but really super powerful steps that help us move from reacting to responding with intention. And here's the great part: we don't have to be perfect. There is no such thing as perfect parenting. We just need to be present. Because when we mess it up, and we all do, and I've done it many times, it's the repair that teaches the most. That's where the real connection and growth happens. We also talked about how it's not built through pushing through or being tough, but through consistent everyday moments with calm, caring adults. Every time you pause instead of yell, every time you return after a rupture, we're wiring our child's brain for strength, confidence, and emotional safety. So I just a gentle invitation to whoever's listening today, if you're wanting to pick a small shift for this week. Maybe it's pausing for a breath before you respond. Maybe it's simply noticing when your own stress is rising, or maybe it's whispering, "I'm here when your child is falling apart. I'm here. I'm with you." You don't have to change everything at once. One small step towards calm can transform not just your day, but the whole relationship with your child. Because your calm doesn't just make things easier in the moment, as we've said, it really does shape their future. So I've come to the end of my presentation, Celia, but before we open up for questions, I would just like to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up with openness, and thank you for commitment to yourselves and to the children in the world to create a calmer, more connected life. You've heard me say throughout today's presentation, and that, but I'll say it one more time because I truly believe it with my whole heart. Our calm is one of the greatest gifts we can give our children, not because it makes everything perfect, but because it creates safety, deepens connection, and builds true resilience, moment by moment, day by day. I also want to express my sincere gratitude to the Day of Calm Foundation and the entire Summit team for hosting such a beautiful event. It truly is inspiring to be part of something that values calm, not as a luxury, but as a powerful and transformative force in our families and in the world. Um, Also, you'll see on the slide there, if you'd like to stay connected, I'd love to welcome you into the Connect, Play, Thrive community. It's a space where I share simple tools, heartfelt encouragement, non-judgment, and practical resources to help support parents and educators on the journey, especially if we're wanting to raise emotionally connected kids and trying to stay connected to ourselves at the same time, which can be challenging. You'll also
Absolutely. Well,
you
thank you, Cherie, so
yeah,
much for that presentation and really making a point to talk about how important unconditional love is and making your kids feel safe. It's, when a child grows up in a home where there's all this yelling and chaos and hitting and all this kind of aggressive behavior in the home, that is where they should feel safest. And
that's
if you're not creating that kind of environment, Where will that child go to feel safe? Will they even be able to go anywhere and feel safe? Because in their most secure environment, they don't feel that way and they don't feel the love. So I really appreciate it. We're not going to have time for questions because Danny's about ready to start, but I appreciate so much you being here. I adore you and thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and spreading your calm.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Okay, and now you can start your day
Yep.
since it's bright and early in the morning in Australia.
Yep, just about 6 a.m. So the
Is it
day's starting.
Saturday? It's Saturday, right? Oh, so
Yep.
take a nap,
Yeah.
relax. All right.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you, Cherie. And you're welcome to stay. One more
Yeah, I will.
speaker,
Thank
and
you. I will.
you're welcome to stay.
Thank you so
Bye,
much.
honey. Thank you for listening to the Pumped Up Parenting Podcast. If this episode was helpful to you, please share it with a friend and leave us a review that will help others. Wonder why kids don't come with a manual? Well, wonder no more, because I wrote you one, and it's just won a wonderful Mom's Choice Award. Go to celiasbooks.com and buy your copy of Raising Happy Toddlers, as well as my children's books. I appreciate you being part of my mission to help 10 million parents stop yelling at their kids. Please be intentional and hug on those kids of yours. See you at the next episode.